guys as a video, but obviously you get the main bit as well. So let's go and just have a little look at the Dow and the S&P, because we've had some interesting price action over the last week. I'm just going to tidy up support and resistance levels. So what you'll notice here, this is the Dow futures, and I'm going to do a direct comparison with the S&P. You'll notice here, I'm just going to, again, a bit of a tidy up in terms of what we do. So you'll notice here we got the prior highs. Just give me a yes, guys, if you can see that actually at the end of last week, close to the end of last week, we almost got the prior highs. Just give me a yes if you guys can see that. So there's the Dow futures, which happens to have MR1 in there as well, and the S&P futures with MR1 just above. Yeah, I agree, Chris. Some good levels on the indices. So both of those, both the Dow and the S&P, are going into our MPR possible trade list. But it's just interesting how, not that long ago, we were seeing a lot of choppy price action, big downward days, lots of volatility. Things have calmed down a little bit in terms of the size of the moves on the day. But what you'll notice is we're hovering close to that level. Now, again, that might mean that although my longer term view is quite neutral, and if we were to get clear new highs, retest and break those highs, I would be bullish. Right now, I'm fairly neutral from a long-term view. Does that make sense to everyone? So if you said to me, what's your long-term view on the Dow and the S&P, and I talked about this in last week's video, it'd be fairly neutral. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't consider short trades in and around this area, very simply because the criteria are there. We've got resistance level, or the conditions are there. We've got resistance levels on both the Dow and the S&P. It's then a matter of if the criteria are met, then we could have a trade. So yeah, so we have got some possible MPRs up here. We just need price to do what it needs to do. So that's the Dow and the S&P. I'll have a look at oil. Oil, big spike up, big move up on Friday. We had our 4% winner at the start of the month, which was nice. So we had our little short trade that gave us the 4%. But again, a little bit of volatility here. For me, I'm looking at the yearly highs. So for me, this is quite a neutral area. It would be quite tough to get a with the trend trade in here. But in terms of a possible reversal, I'd be looking for a retest up at the yearly highs. Again, this whole area here doesn't offer much. Reversal here, would consider it because it's an area of support, but that's close to an area of choppy price action. I kind of want to avoid that. Yes, we have our monthly trade, but we take that regardless of what the price action is. But in terms of a swing trade, I don't really want to be trading a reversal that close to the choppy area. I'd have to see what the price action was like if we got down to these lows. But in terms of further downside, if we were to break this area of support that we've got here and create a new low, there is room for a possible downward move to the 2018 lows, which are down at MS3. Certainly for a reversal trade, I would feel more comfortable with a reversal trade down here. So if I do consider one here, it would probably be more of a half stake trade. There is room for a with the trend trade in here, possibly a pullback or possibly a breakout. In terms of a reversal, I'd be more comfortable if we were getting down to the 2018 lows, because they're close by are also the 2016 lows in there as well. You can see lines appearing. So a group, and again, another area of support rather than an absolute precise level. Gold, I'll come to your question in a second, Chris. Gold is hugging this shorter term trend line here. So we got up to this previous support level that you see on the weekly. I might have to go I have to go monthly. So the previous support level here around the $1,500 mark. We've really just sat there now for a couple of weeks. You'll see the weekly chart. We've sat around this level, had a little bit of a pullback. So again, The weekly trend line is further away. The daily trend line, if I just go there, you'll see we're hugging that at the moment. So for me to be bullish on gold, I would need to see the previous highs broken. So for me to be further bullish and look for long trades, I would need those highs to be broken and a nice strong new high. If that was to happen, the next level, as we've talked about before, is up at 1800. So there's plenty of clean air between a break of these highs, which is slightly above the previous support, and this area here. For us, though, we could have a short trade very soon. Again, I'm not overly bearish, or I'm not bearish really at all on the long term, but short term, if we were to get a break of the lows that we've been creating close to this trend line, either as a breakout or as a new low, then we could have a trade there. So a couple of possible options here with our swing reversal breakout and our swing reversal pullback trade here. Does that make sense, guys? Just give me a yes if you're following me. And as I said, Chris, I'll come to your question in a minute. So again, hugging that trend line, again, could be down to what's going, a little bit down to what's going on the main indices as well. But yeah, there's gold hugging that trend line. Now I'm just switching to silver. So here's silver. Now silver's had a bit more of a pullback. Now we had a question come in from one of the room students whether I was considering a pullback trade here because we had a nice high, nice clean high and then a move back. The challenge is that although that high looks good on the daily, if we look at the weekly and we look at the specifically not last week, but the week before, that weekly candle, you can see there, big reversal candle. So we break the resistance and come back down. So for me, in this scenario, again, I'm going to be taking a cautious view. Yes, you could classify that as a new high, but I really wouldn't want to trade with that move unless, if you look at the daily, we could actually get a new high from here because the setup for us is actually below the resistance. So for me, what I would look for now is confirmation. I would look for a new high and then a pullback. Is everybody following me on that? So for me here, although it looks good although it looks clean and looks quite good on the daily chart, remember, we've got to do our discretion and make our decision on where we're going to trade on the time frames above. So for me, I'd already decided before this pulled back that I would want a new high. So it would be a new high above the previous high, and then I'd go with the trend. Good. Just a quick look at euro. Euro fairly choppy last week. We got the break below these levels. And again, I talked about this last week. If you look at the weekly chart, there's plenty of clean air down to this level here. And you can see over the period of the year, euro's been fairly choppy. It's not really running very cleanly. It's just slowly drifting lower. So at the moment, I think with all the uncertainty that we've got around, it might be tricky to get a clear trade. We did have a pullback trade here that was a loser. And you can see here we've come down. We didn't create a new low off this candle, so there was no further trade. So we had our initial trade here, ended up being a loser, but because we didn't get a new low, there's no trade here. So at the moment, I'm sat right in no man's land. Interesting. So David, you had a winner. Yeah, it was a real interesting one here because you can see this is the way trading goes sometimes. So you can see there for some of the guys, target was you went just before the lows. Somebody went at the lows. Some of the guys got a winner. You got a 2-to-1 winner there. Some of the guys just missed out, and that can happen on the odd trade. You know, it works for some, it doesn't work for others. So yeah, I think the majority of the guys ended up with a loser, but you got a winner there, and I know one of the other guys did as well. That is what it is. So yeah, but because we didn't get a new low, there's no further setup on this. And as I said, we're sitting in no man's land here. So until euro either makes a new low or pushes up or down to a clear level of support or resistance, there's not a lot going on here for me. Quick look at the pound because we've had a bit of a move. We've been triggered into 3 trades on various pound pairs. I'm looking for a pullback now down into this zone here, but I think on a pound Canadian dollar, I think it was, some of our guys had a good breakout. I don't trade the breakout setup. There it is. So they had the breakout set up above this level and have already got into target 1. I don't trade that, but I'm now on pound Canadian dollar, and pound US dollar and pound yen. So I'll be splitting my risk on those, but I'm looking for a pullback now off the back of this new high. But we'll get into the detail of those in a little bit. So yeah, potentially further upside for the pound, but you never know with what's going on at the moment.